Hey there, sister. Welcome back to the Girl Out of Order podcast. So, how's it going? How's your year going? How was last year? And why am I asking you this on February 17th? Because the day that this podcast drops. Because guess what? Today is the first day of the year of the fire horse. Now, you may be really excited about that and be like, I was waiting for this. Or you might be that person who says, I have no idea what this woman is talking about. And you might even be tempted to turn me off, but don't do it. Don't do it. Hang in there because I am telling you, this episode is going to give you the most beautiful imagery and a metaphor that you can anchor in the reclaiming of your identity through every stage and every phase of your beautiful life. Now, that's a really big promise. And if I wouldn't make it if I didn't mean it. So, the year of the fire horse. Why am I even talking about this? Well, if you've been tuning in, and I sure hope you have, we have been working through phase 1 of season 1 in the Girl Out of Order podcast for 2026. We just finished up the releasing part of phase 1. Now, the reason I did that is because I know I have a lot of company in my journey of feeling like I'm supposed to have it all together on January 1st. I've got the manifestation boards done, right? I've planned out my year, right? I've booked all my trips. I've planned all my coaching. I've manifested what my year is going to look like. But if you're like me, you didn't. And you weren't ready, and you were still kind of getting through some things and releasing some things. And maybe you're just taking a little bit more time. And so the first few episodes in 2026 on this podcast were for me. And I know I have company on this journey because I've been hearing from you, and I know that you can relate to sometimes not being ready to just kick off the year on January 1st. Sometimes we still have things to release. And so we did. And it was actually the wrapping up of the year of the snake. Why in the heck would you even care about that? Well, I'm going to tell you. This girl has never been into astrology of any kind. The only thing I know is that I'm a Leo, and it's got this ugly green birthstone that I've never liked since I was a little girl. That is legit the extent of my understanding of astrology. I used to think it was really woo-woo and maybe not so Christian. And so I actually used to turn my little nose up at it, which is kind of a feat when you consider, if you are looking at me on YouTube or you know me, you know I have a tiny little nose that turns up anyway, but I really turned my nose up at astrology. I thought it was weird. I thought it was a little, anti-God, if I dare say that. I'm not saying I feel that way now, or I wouldn't be talking about it. But for the longest time, I just sort of ignored it. And for some reason, you know how when we go through stages in our life, we sometimes evolve. I don't know, raise your hand if you're evolving. And what I've been doing in the last couple of years is I've been a lot more curious, a lot more interested, and I've been listening a lot more. And what I've come to understand for me, and I would venture to say for a lot of you that are listening, is that there are so many layers and metaphors and wisdom that we can gain and glean from traditions that are not familiar to us. And for me, astrology is one of them, particularly this Chinese astrology. Last year, I kept hearing about the year of the snake, the year of the snake. I'm like, oh my God, what is this year of the snake? And then I started reading about it. And I was like, holy smokes, I don't know if there's anything to this in terms of like it being real or not real. But what I do know is it got me thinking and paying attention to and becoming aware of what I needed to shed, what I wanted to shed. And it just woke me up. And so when I found out that the next year is the year of the fire horse, I was like, girl, I need to look into this. I need to read up on this. Maybe there's something I can learn from the year of the fire horse. And let me tell you, for a girl out of order, for a woman who is passionate about identity work and helping women with identity redesign as we move through the stages and phases of life. The year of the fire horse is, well, it's fire. It's actually fire. So here, let me tell you about it because you could learn some things as well. And then you can decide if you want to put it in your shopping cart or leave it on the shelf. But hang in there with me because I really believe that there is something that you can learn and that you can maybe apply to your own identity journey. So what in the heck is the year of the fire horse? Well, Chinese astrology is really fascinating. And the year of the fire horse, it could, I guess these years of these animals and the symbols, they rotate. Do I know how they rotate? No. I don't need to know all the mechanics, but what I do know is that there are archetypes and that there's like a 12-year zodiac cycle. Again, please don't make me try to explain all this because I don't really know all of it. But what I do know is that the most recent fire horse year was 1966. Why does that even matter? Well, because if we're going to understand whether or not this has any relevance to us, we should probably learn a little bit about it. So the year 1966 was the last year that there was a fire horse. And here's the weird thing that happened is that in Japan, and I know this is a Chinese zodiac calendar, so I'm not really sure why it affected Japan, but hear me out. In 1966, the birth rates dropped in Japan due to a superstition around fire horse daughters. As soon as I read that, I was like, all right, wait a minute. I need to know more about this. Tell me about this fire horse. Why was the patriarchy so worried about fire horse daughters? Well, you're born in the year of the fire horse. I guess you have certain traits. At least that's what the astrological calendar or tradition tells you. So I did some little research and I was like, oh, this actually is quite interesting. So in Chinese astrology, the horse, and I think we can all kind of understand this about horses if you've ever spent any time with them, which I have. The horse symbolizes fierce independence. The horse also symbolizes a refusal to be contained and has high energy and momentum. And this is my favorite one, social magnetism. I love that phrase. I love everything it means. It's something I try to exude in my own life. And the horse in Chinese astrology symbolizes a restless desire for freedom. Horses do not like fences. They'll obey them, but they don't like them. They actually resist stagnation. Horses are always moving. I mean, not always, but they are usually in some form of movement, right? And so for women designing their identity, this is pretty powerful stuff because this energy, this horse energy, it represents breaking inherited roles, questioning expectations, refusing to live in a world confined by shoulds. Sounds pretty tantalizing, doesn't it? Sounds interesting. Of course it does, because it is interesting. So, historically, women born in the fire horse years were considered too strong, too independent, and dangerous. Well, I am thanking my lucky stars that I'm born in this generation. And in 2026, what used to be culturally feared is now being more celebrated. So how do we get more of that in our lives and in our identity as we evolve as women? Because here's what's true. Even though we have advanced so much since 1966, the last year of the fire horse, there's still a bit of cultural fear, or maybe I'm going to use the word revulsion. Sorry, it's a little bit of a juicier word than I was looking for. But we have a little bit of cultural fear or revulsion about uncontained feminine power. And here's what I want you to think about and ask yourself. Do women do that to other women? Do we fear other women's uncontained feminine power? Just a question for you to consider. Have you ever spent any time around horses? You can feel their power. You can see their muscles rippling under their skin and their fur. Because what I know about horses from having a daughter who owned a horse up until, my gosh, I think she just sold the horse last fall, is horses are so, this is going to sound like a cheesy word. They're just magical. They're just magical creatures because they have so much power and they have so much muscle but honestly, they do have fire, a lot of them, but it's often contained, which is why I find it so interesting that the fire horse daughters used to be thought of as uncontained feminine power, because this 800-pound animal could run through this fence. This 800-pound animal could run a human over, and yet they don't. And yet they don't. So I asked myself when I was thinking about my daughter's horse, Mo, and all of the horses that I have spent so much time and money, by the way, being around, because horses are really, very expensive. I started asking myself, what does this symbol of a horse mean for the identity work that I do with women and with myself and my daughters? And then I started reading a little bit more about it. And remember, it's not just the year of the horse. That would be interesting enough. It's the year of the fire horse. So the horse in the Chinese astrological calendar represents movement and freedom and independence, and it refuses small space. A horse was never meant to be fenced in, even though I know that's what we do because of all the reasons, right? But a horse in its essence is really the symbol of freedom. So what does the fire horse mean? Well, fire, it amplifies everything. It brings passion and conviction and transformation. And this is my favorite part, so I'm getting a little juiced up here. It burns away what is false and it lights up what is true. So together, when you put the fire horse symbolism together, it amplifies everything. A fire horse energy. It's because remember, this is about energy. It's a metaphor. It's not an actual horse on fire running, right? It's a metaphor. Stick with me, sisters. Fire horse energy symbolizes unapologetic drive, fierce individuality, and my favorite part again, a willingness to break from the mold. The fire horse she's not quiet. She's not timid. She's about movement and conviction and choosing her own direction, even if that means leaving the familiar behind. Does this resonate with you? Are you starting to get this picture? I feel like, I guess maybe you logged into this episode. You're like, I have no idea why I would care about the year of the fire horse. Well, I'm hoping you're starting to see that this metaphor, sister, it's a call. It's an invitation to you to maybe break out of the mold that you're living within because it's keeping you stuck and small and unfulfilled. Maybe you need to channel a little bit more of that fire horse energy. Because the fire horse energy, sister, it does not ask for permission. It does not wait to be chosen. It chooses. The fire horse energy, it invites us to move, not recklessly, but courageously. Maybe when you get up tomorrow or you move through your day today, you ask yourself, what if I could be a little bit more of that fire horse energy? What if I could channel a little bit more of that independence? Because of fire horse energy, it releases hesitation. Where in your life are you hesitating? Where in your life are you shrinking down a little bit and playing it safe? For me, I'm starting a speaking business. I joined a cohort of women who are so badass and going where I want to go. And there's this voice in my head that I have to wrestle with that tells me I'm not ready, that tells me to play it safe, that tells me to sit down, that tells me to be quiet. And you know what? If I want the dream life that I'm building, I need to stop listening to that voice that tells me to pause, hesitate, and step off. So where do you need to stop hesitating? Where do you need to start trusting your instincts to run, sister, towards what feels true instead of circling around what feels safe? What is it for you? Is it getting up the courage to ask that person out for coffee that you know you want to spend more time with? Is it being brave and asking for that raise that you know you deserve? Is it starting that business that wakes you up at night because it's got a call on your spirit that can't be denied? Is it leaving that marriage that is not safe for you and you know you deserve better? Start running towards what is true instead of circling around what is safe. The year of the fire horse, it's just an imagery. It's just a metaphor. But this is a year not for shrinking. It's a year for heat. It's a year for momentum. I've talked in the last couple episodes, I know I've mentioned that I choose a word for the year, and my word is clarity. And sometimes it's not sexy. Sometimes I think about the word clarity and I just go, ugh, it doesn't get me excited. It doesn't make me feel like I'm expanding. But you know what? I am running towards clarity. I am lighting up the areas in my life that lack clarity, and I'm releasing the areas that are chaotic because it's keeping me from having the impact that I know I am called to make. So the fire horse, sister, it just represents the woman who drops performance, who refuses those projections that we were just talking about in the last episode, who lets go of inherited roles. It's an image and an anchor for the woman, you, who is designing herself intentionally and is ready to live a little bit more untamed and aligned. So it's not about astrology. It's just an archetype. It's just a metaphor. It's just something that I want you to think about and picture in your mind and in your heart the next time you feel like shrinking down, the next time you feel reluctant to take a chance, the next time you choose potato chips over exercise when you know your body needs you to move. I want you to think about the year of the fire horse. I want you to say, can I be a little bit more fire horse energy? Because you not only can, you must. You absolutely must, because your life is waiting for you. Whatever it is for you that needs more fire horse energy, go for it. Run for it. Just make it your mission. And the reason I use this metaphor, sister, to kick off our reclaiming phase is because metaphors have power. Metaphors become anchors that stick in your nervous system you can call them forth often more than words. So I want you to picture that fire horse. She symbolizes radical self-definition. That fire horse, she symbolizes courageous visibility. Are you ready to be visible? Are you ready to be brave and step out and be seen? She symbolizes reclaiming autonomy. Are you ready to determine what you want from your life instead of letting other people's expectations and other people's opinions guide you? She symbolizes releasing containment. Circling back to what used to happen in the year of the fire horse, when they wanted to contain women, we will not be contained. All you have to do is make a decision that you will channel more fire horse energy and decide that if that mold fits you, great, you wear that like a boss. But if it doesn't, you break the containment. When I first had children, I was a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, 10 glorious, very challenging years where I raised our daughters mostly by myself because my husband was a pharmacist. He worked a lot of nights. Like we had a beautiful life. It was a full, gorgeous life. But for 10 years, I thought that was what I was designed to do because I was looking around at everybody else and it seemed like I needed to be the good Christian girl, relying on my husband and choosing to stay home with my daughters, not necessarily because that's all I wanted, but because I thought that's all I was worth doing. Now, please hear me, especially if I'm speaking to you amazing stay-at-home moms. There is nothing in what I'm saying that says that what you're doing isn't the most difficult and most rewarding job. It is. For me, after several years of that, I felt myself disappearing. I felt myself shrinking. I had a call and a tug on my spirit that I couldn't deny, but I pushed it down. I shoved it aside and I told it to shut up. And for years, I denied a call that I knew was on my life because I was trying to fit into a mold that wasn't meant for me. I ignored the nudges in my spirit. And here's what I want you to know about the fire horse. The human spirit cannot be contained. And a woman spirit, 10x, cannot be contained. A woman is meant to expand and evolve and transform whatever that looks like for you. This isn't about go back to work. This isn't about start the business. This isn't about quit the business. This isn't about retire or go to college. It's not about any one particular action. It's about how are you evolving and changing and moving through your life, because a woman's life is changing all the time. And some changes are a lot more challenging than others. Are you a woman in transition? Are you empty nesting? Are you going through a divorce? Are you experiencing a health challenge? I have a friend right now experiencing a very, very difficult health challenge, and it has absolutely upended her identity. And so she's got to go back to the basics. We spent time releasing at the beginning of this year. That was the excavation, sister, and it will be ongoing. Now we are in the reclaiming, and that's the construction, and it must be lifelong. No more sleepwalking and accepting what isn't meant for you. If you do not consciously design your identity, channel that fire horse energy, break out of the containment, culture or family or authority will define you for yourself. It's time to reclaim the you that was always yours. And this fire horse energy, it's just a way for you to be like, yeah, that's me. I'm going to be a fire horse today. Sometimes we need to anchor it into a metaphor that lights a fire under our literal butts so we can get out there, not only reclaim who we were designed to be, but begin building a life in alignment with that. I want to leave you with this. You, sister, you are not here to be assigned anything. You are here to be your own author. And the year of the fire horse is just an opportunity for you to reclaim even more of who you're designed to be. Whatever you're going through, whatever changes, whatever shifts, or maybe for the first time ever, you're kind of going, I don't even know if I know who I am. Use the year of the fire horse as motivation. So this week, I'm going to give you an invitation, just 3 questions. I want you to ask yourself as you move through the week, where am I still performing instead of choosing? For me, I was performing as a stay-at-home mom. I was doing all the things that all my friends were doing, all the things I thought I was doing, checking all the boxes, and dying inside because I had a call in my heart I was ignoring. So as you go throughout your week, find those little moments. It don't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be massive shifts. Like for me, it was a massive identity crisis. It doesn't have to be that. But where are those little moments where you either perform or deny yourself instead of choosing what you know is right for you. Number 2, ask yourself, what does this decision am I postponing because it disrupts my comfort? Oh, that's so close to home. Had a conversation today with my accountability partner where we were talking about what we do to comfort ourselves. And for her, it was food. And for me, it was Netflix or the news, just noise. And I use the noise to numb out the dysregulation I'm feeling when I'm doing something that is uncomfortable. And so what's happening? I'm not making the progress that I really long to make. And it becomes a vicious cycle. So pay attention this week and ask yourself, again, these can be micro decisions. They don't need to be massive. What am I postponing? Because it disrupts my comfort. It makes me feel a little bit wobbly. Pay attention. And lastly, what value do I need to honor immediately? I'll leave you with this last story. I just had the blessing of having my friend Daniela here, my Venezuelan friend who teaches me so much about a life and challenges that I've never, ever experienced. And she has so many insights, and she woke me up. She said, by being in your home and watching you with your husband, I don't think you understand how resilient you truly are, because you have a marriage that most marriages wouldn't have survived. And she woke me up and she made me pay attention and to be grateful for and aware of my resilience. And I was so blessed by that because, again, the year of the fire horse is just an opportunity for you to wake up. For the next few weeks, we are going to be focusing on reclaiming ourselves, reclaiming parts of ourselves, reclaiming our health, reclaiming our finances, reclaiming our relationship. Maybe we'll even touch on reclaiming our sexuality, but it's all about reclaiming you, the you that was always yours. So this week, take one aligned step. Doesn't have to be dramatic, doesn't need to be explosive. It just needs to be aligned and intentional. So remember, for decades, women were warned, don't be a fire horse. I don't know if they really were, but I'm sure in some cultures they were. But using those words or not, women have always been told to calm down, take a seat, don't make waves. My dad used to say, I wish you were a wallflower. Well, Dad, I wasn't designed to be a wallflower. I was designed to be a fire horse. And I suspect there are a lot of you out there that can relate and that were also designed to be fire horses. Whatever piece of that energy feels right for you, I want you to embrace it. I want you to live it out, and I want to see the results. So make sure you share it. If this message resonated with you, please share this podcast with anybody you know who could be blessed by this, challenged by this, because the world needs so many more girls out of order. We need to be the change in this world. So keep being a girl out of order, because like I always say, the world needs you, needs what only you can provide. And I don't want you to be anybody but the girl, the woman you were designed to be. Next week, we have another amazing episode on reclaiming. I can't wait to see you there. Have an incredible week.